Good morning and welcome to The Strong. I'm Christopher Bench, Vice President for Collections, and it's my pleasure today to help announce the 2018 inductees for the National Toy Hall of Fame. We're pleased to have an audience today that includes members of the museum's Board of Trustees, members of the Toy Hall of Fame's National Selection Advisory Committee, museum members, and representatives of the media. For those of you who are using social media throughout the induction, we are using the hashtag ToyHall2018. The museum's Twitter handle is @MuseumOfPlay, and its Instagram handle is @MuseumOfPlayRock. And if being here in person isn't enough, the induction ceremony is also being broadcast live on the Museum of Play YouTube channel. Through the National Toy Hall of Fame, the Strong recognizes outstanding toys that have engaged multiple generations over time, inspiring them to learn, create, and discover through play. This year, 12 toys meeting the basic criteria were considered by the National Selection Advisory Committee. Those toys are American Girl dolls, Chalk, Chutes and Ladders, Magic 8-Ball, Fisher-Price Corn Popper, Masters of the Universe, Pinball, Sled, Tic-Tac-Toe, Tickle Me Elmo, Tudor Electric Football, and Uno. In a moment, curators Michelle Parnett-Dwyer and Nick Ricketts will help me to announce the 2018 National Toy Hall of Fame inductees that will join the 65 toys already enshrined. But first, we're going to try to mix things up a bit. People often speculate about who the inductees will be and try their best to predict them. We figured this time round we'd give you a little help with someone who can actually predict the future. Please join me in welcoming our new friend. Thanks for joining us. Before we get started, what do you prefer we call you? Fortune teller, seer, mystic?
You may call me Toy. Toystradamus, card reader extraordinaire.
Okay then, Toystradamus. Should we get started with our first inductee?
Skip.
What? What's happening here?
Don't ask me, I just read the cards, and right now they're telling me that you've been skipped. Next.
This is already going wonderfully, I can tell. I guess we'll bring up my colleague, Nick Ricketts.
Thank you, Chris. Our first inductee came out of suburban Cincinnati in 1971. A barber named Merle Robbins and his family loved to play card games, and one of their favorites was the common game Crazy Eights. But players of Crazy Eights know that some of the rule variations in the game are tricky, and in the Robbins house, they were sometimes the cause of friendly arguments. Mr. Robbins decided to write the actions connected with certain cards right on the cards with a felt marker. To eliminate these family squabbles. Once he'd done that, the family realized their game now played faster, was easier to learn, and could be played and enjoyed by young children, even against adults, without fear of being overpowered.
Reverse.
What's that now?
Hey, I'm just following the cards. I think you need to turn around. Yes.
Can I turn back now?
Oh, it really doesn't say, but sure. Let's hear more.
Thank you. So, the Robbins family...
Draw two.
Sorry?
Draw two.
Like this?
Well, I'm not quite sure of what the cards meant with that one.
So, the Robbins family decided to design a new game based on the changes that they had made. Believing in their game, Merle and his wife Marie sold their house and financed the printing of 5,000 decks. They set off to travel the country selling their cards. When they returned to Ohio, they'd sold all 5,000 decks and they ordered more. Needless to say, everyone enjoyed the game. An investor and marketer soon purchased the rights from Mr. Robbins and placed the game in larger retail centers across the United States and eventually around the world. Then toy giant Mattel purchased the rights to the game in 1996. The game lends itself to countless licensed variations, and its singular name is interpreted as everything from a dexterity game to dozens of video game versions. It has recently been called America's favorite card game, and in 2017, it was reportedly the best-selling game in the world. In other words, it is the one. What do you say, Toystradamus?
I say it is Uno!
Yes, Uno.
Uno!
And now back to Chris Bench.
Thanks. Let's hope I don't get skipped again.
Oh, you may.
Well, before I introduce the second toy, any early ideas, Toystradamus?
Not quite yet.
Okay, well, let's see if we can proceed. The next inductee has always been on the ball, even though its history has included some bumps along the way to its current success. The story began in the 18th century with a French tabletop game called Bagatelle. Bagatelle challenged players to use a stick to shoot balls across a surface filled with pins and scoring holes. Pretty tricky, huh? It took until 1931 for the next phase of the game's evolution to begin, when American manufacturers covered the playing surface with a piece of glass and incorporated mechanical means to remove balls from play. Most importantly, from a commercial perspective, the manufacturers also figured out a way to monetize gameplay. Even during the Great Depression, millions of eager Americans lined up to drop their coins into the slot and take the plunge into the game. Any guesses now?
This will be a wild card.
Okay. The game's technology advanced during the 1930s and 40s, creating electrifying experiences that rang bells with players everywhere. Backlit artwork added a special glow, and in 1947, players flipped for a new version with flippers. Now players could show off their skill and apply their best hand-eye coordination to tilting the odds to their advantage. They dropped their coins, steeled their nerves, and bounced into a new world of fun. Not everyone loved the game, though. Critics initially thought it was more about chance than it was about skill, and some even considered it to be gambling, an opinion that resulted in Chicago and Los Angeles outlawing it in the 1930s. The game was even banned in New York City right up until 1976. Today, however, the game has scored high success with players of every age and stands as a classic. So grab your quarters, flex your wrists, focus on that steely orb flashing across the playfield, and join me in celebrating the second inductee to the National Toy Hall of Fame. It's pinball! And now I'd like to introduce a special guest to say a few words about the legacy of pinball, Gary Stern, President, CEO, and founder of Stern Pinball.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Thank you for inducting pinball into the Toy Hall of Fame. Thank you very much for the exhibit of pinball that you have ongoing here. Pinball, please play these games. If these are from different eras, two of them designed by Steve Ritchie, one of our great designers. Pinball is a uniquely American icon, even though it can trace back to the French bagatelle. It is manufactured in America for years, and it's popular worldwide. We export almost half of our games. It's popular for all ages. We've crossed the millennial divide. Partly because of our digital games. Our games are available both in the terrestrial form that you see here and in digital form on smartphones, on Switch, what have you. And this has introduced the game to a larger audience. We certainly have modernized the game, as you can see, with the LCD display on that game there and all LEDs. Under the hood, modern electronics, but the game is still the same game that Harry Williams described as having the ball is wild. The game is on the playfield, the ball is a randomizer. We are growing with pinball throughout the world. We're getting bigger and bigger in family entertainment centers and barcades throughout this country and elsewhere. My company, Stern Pinball, has stood by the pinball machines for 30-some years. I've been in this for 71 because my family was in pinball when I was born and started, well, when I was 2, they started into pinball. And I've seen the changes, I've seen the growth, and I see we're having a resurgence. We're growing again. My company's Stern Pinball in 2017 had 40% growth over 2016. In 2016, 20% over 2015. We're having growth again this year. And we are making all of these games in the Chicagoland area, in the United States. We're very proud to be American manufacturers. We have a 110,000 square foot factory that you're all welcome to come visit sometime. We do tours. Info at sternpinball.com. You can set up a tour. We have 350 people working in there and an extended supplier community that probably employs another 3,000 people for all or part of their livelihood. But then again, pinball is a great game, a great sport, with 65,000 people ranked as competitors. And as Harry said, the ball is wild, it's the equalizer, it's the randomizer that plays on the playfield. Please play these games, and thank you very much to the Strong Museum.
Thanks, Gary. Of the 12 this year, one of them holds the distinction of being named a finalist more than any other, 7 times, without being inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame. Do you think this is the year, Toystradamus?
I'd better not say now. Ask again later.
Let me tell you a bit more about this finalist then and see if it will help you divine the answer. It has deep roots in a spirited family. In the 1940s, Cincinnati clairvoyant Mary Carter created a small chalkboard that she placed in a sealed container. She would then ask her clients a question, and they would hear the sound of chalk scratching across the board. When she opened the container, Mary revealed the magical message on the chalkboard. Mary's son Albert predicted that his future lay in advancing his mother's creation. Without a doubt, the pair turned to family member Abe Bookman, a graduate of the Ohio Mechanics Institute, to handle the logistics. Bookman and Carter formed Al Abe Craft Company of Cincinnati and sought to introduce a novelty that provided answers that swam randomly out of its inky depths. Carter applied for a patent, but sources say he died soon after. Bookman proceeded with the project. Any predictions now?
Future still hazy.
The size of an overgrown softball with a flat spot that let it stand as a desktop paperweight, Bookman's invention would respond to questions with one phrase framed in a triangle in a round window. What's the mysterious secret to his toy? The black ball holds a 20-sided die that floats in diluted dark blue viscous liquid. Inscribed on each of its facets is a different answer to any yes or no question. The versatility and its appeal to children and adults has helped Bookman's toy to endure for more than half a century. As I see it, this toy is simple and plays with something we're all intrigued by, the future. And yes, definitely, Bookman has entertained millions by letting them flirt harmlessly with fortune-telling. So, is this the year for this longtime finalist?
Hold on. I think this calls for more than cards. Is this the year? Is this the year? Yes! Yes! It's about time!
Our final inductee is the Magic 8 Ball.
Magic 8 Ball!
It's magic, you know. Never believe it's not so. It's magic.
So it's official. The 2018 National Toy Hall of Fame inductees are Uno, Pinball, and Magic 8 Ball. We'd like to thank our talented actors today, Dolores Jackson Radney, Shaquille Kitchings, Zuzu Boomer Knapp, and Ben Falter. Thank you as well to Gary Stern from Stern Pinball for being with us. In a couple minutes, we'll be unveiling our cases upstairs in the Toy Halls of Fame exhibit displaying this year's inductees. But before we do that, let me remind you that we have a whole weekend of family fun planned for Saturday and Sunday, celebrating all 68 toys in the National Toy Hall of Fame. And, of course, we'd love to have you join us. Now, curators Nick Ricketts, Michelle Parnett-Dwyer, and I will be available for questions and interviews, and our talented cast will be available for photography. Thank you again for joining us this morning, and have a great and playful day.